Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of all ages. We are back on Saturday, June 5th, with another episode of Brewed Bets, where the coffee is strong and the bets are stronger. I am your co-host, Brandon Johnson of Sports with BJ, and as always, I'm joined by JT of Sports Shift Media. JT, good morning to you.
Good morning. Something you said there really made me think. We are into June now, and we've been doing this since March Madness. So we're coming up. We're going March, April, May, June. This is our fourth month of doing this. A lot of fun.
Should we take it back to middle school and maybe do a half-year anniversary celebration?
I think we might have to. I think that might be where we have to actually meet in person.
Absolutely. And eventually this show will get married, but we'll always celebrate our dating anniversary. Thank you for being here with us on this Saturday. If you listened to our show last night, Press Break, the off season, that's where we get together and talk about all nonsensical things involved around the world of sports and really not the world of sports as well. We've had some fun topics in there. Last night we talked about favorite movie snacks when you go to the movies. We talked about favorite donuts, what we do and don't like about donuts. Talked a little bit of Barry Bonds and his home run record, but that audio is now streaming anywhere you can get a podcast. Just check it out on the Juicebox Pod. We are under their umbrella, as is Press Break. So when college basketball comes back around this time of year, or that time of year, you can find all of our podcasts there as well under the Juicebox Pod. And again, shout out to the new sponsor that the Juicebox Pod Corp or LLC picked up in Delta H Premium THC. They're doing some big things for us, and they're doing big things in their world too, so we appreciate that. But this is Brewed Bets, and we are here to bring you strong winners to go with the strong coffee we're drinking. And just as we do every Saturday, JT, what's in the coffee this morning?
I ran out of cream today, it was last night. But so I am drinking just a Dunkin' K-Cup with just black.
Okay, nice and strong. I like that. And hey, come about 9:30, 9:45 when this show's over. I think that's going to serve your digestive system well.
Yep.
I think black coffee is the winner there. I myself am going with Pete's coffee I went heavy cream today. I'm not typically a big creamer guy, but I've been on a French vanilla kick lately with the and it's just, coffee mates, nothing special, no big syrups or anything fancy. I'm not a barista, but I went heavy on the cream this morning, and it's working out for me so far so good. So let's get into some picks here. We start with the 3-2-1 this week, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the 4-2. All right, we're going to switch it up a little bit. I don't have really any upsets this week that I saw. Everything to me looked either really, really up in the air, or like both teams could win either of the matchups that I saw that I like to bet on. So no upsets this week. So we're going to go with 4 good picks, 2 locks, and we're just going to hit on them real quick. I'm taking the Bruins and the Islanders over 5. I'm taking the Islanders money line against the Bruins. I'm taking the Lightning to beat the Panthers on the or the Hurricanes on the money line. I'm taking the Yankees to beat the Red Sox today. We'll get into that. Brooklyn versus Milwaukee. I don't know that I've looked forward to an NBA basketball series this much in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to this game tonight, and I'm going to take Brooklyn out the gates on the money line for my first lock. And then my second lock is going to be the Dodgers, taking the money line with them against Atlanta. We'll get into that. But JT, what are your best bets this weekend?
I got 5 here to go with. I'm going with White Sox -1.5. It's kind of a lot of these are principal picks. Just rolling with them every time they pop up in my feed. So I'll get into why I'm picking that later on. Indians Orioles under 8. Mets Padres first inning under 0.5. I just hit on last night. I hit a 3-game parlay of first inning under, so I'm on a roll there. That's my favorite bet of the year for baseball. And then jumping over to basketball, I'm with you on the Nets money line. We talked about that a little bit before the show, so we'll get into that more here in a little bit. And then I'm ending it with going against you on a pick, and I'm going Bruins -1.5.
That's what we have to do here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not fancy yet. We don't have sound effects. So whenever I hear something, I just make the sound effect myself. And I'm going to be honest, that's not the one I wanted to make. So I apologize for that. But yeah, hey, it's always fun when we go against each other. And it's not a hard feeling thing. It's just, it's nice to see different opinions. Mm-hmm. And we can learn a lot about the other person based on who wins, right? I
Yep.
mean, it's just a fun thing to have. Competition's always healthy. So let's break down into why we're taking the picks that we're taking. So we'll pack back up the 3-2-1 or the 4-2 as it were this Saturday. And I'm going to start with Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders going over 5. A lot of these picks are stat based more so than feeling based. The Islanders, 3 of their last 4 games have gone over the total, and 2 of the last 3 for the Bruins have gone over the total.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're keeping track at home, that is 3 and 4 to that's 5 for 7 of these combined teams. Their last games have gone over. So I'm going to stick with that trend, and I'm going to take over 5. Knowing my luck, it's going to be a 3-2 push, but hey, I'm going to take over just in case it's 4-2, 4-3, somewhere in that line. Moving on to New York Islanders money line versus Boston. Look, the Islanders should be aggressive offensively tonight and allow their depth to really outplay the Bruins. The Boston Bruins are going to be without Brandon Carlo, which is one of their top defensemen who's been playing 18 plus minutes a game. And then on top of that, the value of the pick is just too good for me on a home team who's in a must-win situation. I couldn't pass that up. So that's why I'm taking the New York Islanders money line there. A lot of things going into that pick, but with a top defenseman out and the back against the wall type scenario at home with home ice, I'm going to roll with the Islanders to take the money line win. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Carolina Hurricanes, another money line. Andre Vasilevsky. There it is. Andre Vasilevsky. He had a poor game 3, right? No one's going to deny that, but he had a dominant game 1 and game 2. He's been incredible in the playoffs, so I really just expect him to bounce back here and hold the Carolina Hurricanes offense off enough for Tampa Bay to get the win. So that's where I'm just going to go with the odds there. I don't think he's going to have, with how dominant he was in game 1 and 2. I'm gonna say that game 3 was more of a fluke than a new trend he's about to start.
I think that I actually bet Carolina in that last game because this series has been a lot more even than what the stats showed. The Lightning came out and won the first 2, and it was mainly because of Vasilevsky. He sat on his head in games 1 and 2, so there had to be some regression. So I don't even think he played that bad of a game. I think it was just expected that Carolina had so many chances in games 1 and 2 that didn't work out, that there were a few pucks that had to get behind him just to balance out. I mean, things always come back to the mean. So I think the Lightning still are the better team, and I think you're making a good pick tonight. Carolina they were bound to get one with how well they were playing. They just couldn't get pucks behind Vasilevsky, but he'll bounce back.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing here, too, if Tampa Bay wins tonight, they go up 3-1, right? Mm-hmm. So it's hard to sit here and look at a team in Carolina and say they're going to go down 3-1 to the Lightning. Like, you just don't, at this point in the playoffs, you don't want to see that lopsided of a series. But when Vasilevsky is on, that's what we have. He is very hard to score against, and he has a spectacular playoff career. Mm-hmm. So that is really the difference there. I mean, and it's hard for me. I really wanted to take Carolina to even up the series, but there's just something about what we were talking about with, it seemed like it was almost like a courtesy game for Carolina like just kind of like what you were saying. Like, they had to get one.
Yeah.
He can't be that good all the time. I mean, you see it in all sports. LeBron, he just lost his first round playoff series ever, right? And that's a deeper conversation, bad example. But yeah, I'm with you, and I'm glad we're on the same page there. I always like it when my cohort agrees with my pick. That makes me feel confident in the money I'm going to lose. Moving on to the next, the fourth of my good bets. Typically, I give you 3 good bets, 2 locks, and an upset. No upsets this weekend on Brewed Bets, where the coffee is strong and the bets are stronger. So we're going to go with our 4th good bet of Brandon's 3-4-2 this weekend, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Love this series. Sports fans around the world know this series. It's always the nice Sunday night game that we'll get tomorrow, and they'll get great viewing and great ratings. I'm going to go with the Yankees today. Red Sox took the game yesterday, but the Red Sox are sending out a left-hander in Eduardo Rodriguez, and he has been really struggling. Mm-hmm. He went 1-4 with a 7.28 ERA in May across 29.2 innings. He's also 2-4 with a 3.96 ERA in 9 career starts at Yankee Stadium. So the math and the stats say that a struggling pitcher who's also historically bad at Yankee Stadium is not going to have a good outing for the Yankees. My only hope is that they don't jump on him too early and get him pulled out, because I think if this gets to Boston's bullpen early, they can stay in it and their bats can possibly bring them back. So I'm hoping this is a 5 to 6 inning showing for Eduardo Rodriguez, and the Yanks can put up 4 or 5 runs off him across that time frame. And Yankees, I'm taking the money line to get the win there.
The way their bats have been hitting lately, I don't think you have to worry about too much of an explosion from that Yankees lineup.
No.
I think 4 to 5 runs is realistic because they're just not seeing the ball well. But I agree with you that going up against Rodriguez, they're going to be able to get some runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, maybe Yankees fans, this is the trigger game. Maybe this is the game where they throw out Rodriguez. He's historically bad in the stadium against your team. He's been struggling in the month of May. And if you know baseball at all, pitchers are extremely mental beings.
Yeah.
When they're in their head, they are in their head. And maybe this is a game where he gets rocked and y'all find something in your bats and the season turns around. I don't know. But I'm going to go with the money line just strictly because of the pitcher Boston's throwing out there. So I'm taking the Yankees. 2 locks this morning that I'm bringing with you here on Brewed Bets. Brooklyn money line versus Milwaukee. Look, this is the series we wanted. We're going to get it. We think this is the best team matchup for Brooklyn, right? You've got Giannis and KD. You've got Middleton and I totally just blanked. I have not had enough strong coffee this morning, ladies and gentlemen. But you got Harden and Middleton. Yeah. You got Joe Harris. You got Kyrie Irving. You've got all the matchups you want to see here. But I'm going to go with the theory that game 1 in a series like this is a feel-out game for both teams. Okay? You're not going to see both teams give it their all. You're going to see them trying different things on different offensive sets to see what works, what doesn't. This is 100% roll out the ball, let's see what we have, and then we'll make the adjustments for the remainder of the seasons. Both teams are going to be okay taking an L in this game because I really think this is just going to be an informational gathering type game. And with Brooklyn being at home, I think they get that advantage with the fans being back in there. It's a different atmosphere. We've seen that across the NBA with the ugly that comes with it as well. But I feel like in this particular instance, it's going to be a close one, and the Nets are going to use that home court advantage, and they'll protect in the opener. So I'm going to take them as a lock to get game 1 at home over Milwaukee. And then my final lock of the day, really short answer here. LA Dodgers versus Atlanta. I'm taking the Dodgers. I'm taking them on the money line. And Kershaw's on the mound. And it's the regular season. So that should be, especially with the struggling Atlanta team. We spoke a little bit about anemic offenses with the Yankees. The Yankees have been a little bit anemic all year. Atlanta has been struggling lately. And when you're trying to get out of a hitting slump as a team, Kershaw is not the guy you want to see on the mound. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers. The only thing that makes me nervous about that pick is the travel for the Dodgers. Being a West Coast team over on the East Coast, but I'm pretty sure they've had an East Coast stint, so they've been over here for a while.
Yeah, they at least had one other series.
So they should be well adjusted, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there was a little iffiness there, but after, again, Kershaw's on the mound. That's enough said. So that's my 4-2 this weekend. And now we'll swing back over. JT, I'm interested to hear your breakdown. We were talking pre-show. We've been struggling, ladies and gentlemen. We've been on the strug bus, and more specifically, JT has had a rough 3 weekends in a row. Last weekend, he felt really, really, really strong about his picks and a bounce back and went 1-4. But we were talking pre-show, and you have some special feeling about these picks today.
Yeah, I do. I think that, at some point I have to turn it around here because, I'm doing well the rest of the week. It's just Saturdays have been such a terrible time for me. And I spent some more time this morning trying to sift through. I actually had, I think it was 9 picks on the on the slate, and I had to try to weed it down. Looked through the stats. I think I found something. So I'm going to start it off with White Sox -1.5. Lucas Giolito is their ace. He's going up for the White Sox, and they're going against the Tigers. They're 11-2 in their last 13 games against the Tigers, and they're going up against Tariq Skubal, I think is his name. He's a lefty. I think I've talked about this one other time this year. The White Sox love beating up on lefties, and I found two stats to back it up. In all of Major League Baseball, they have the seventh lowest whiff rate against lefties. So I think it was 24.9%. So 75% of the pitches thrown by lefties, the White Sox are putting into play. And then to go also with that, they lead all of Major League Baseball in barrel rate, which means you're hitting the ball hard. So not only are you hitting the ball often against lefties, you're hitting it very well against lefties too. So I think that's a great combination. Tariq Skubal isn't a great lefty, so he's not going to go out there and put up a strong 7-inning performance. So yeah, I think -1.5 is the play. You get some juice there to help you out instead of the big money line. What do you think about that one to start things off?
I like it. And the thing I love about you, JT, if we're being 100% honest with each other, is you always come with stats that make me incapable of arguing your pick. Like if you would have told me and left it at the 11-2, I'd have been like, but some things have to change eventually, right? Like maybe this is that trip up game. And then you throw out the stats about the barrel rate and the lift rate. And can we just pause for a second? Some of the stats that baseball keeps are absolutely absurd.
That's why, that's one of the reasons why I love baseball so much. There are many reasons, but you don't see the type of stats there's so much that you can dive into, and everything can be some other sports, you just can't come up with a reason on why something's happening. There's always going to be an explanation for baseball because there is a million different stats.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to me the depth and the complexity with which some of these stats, like barrel rate, who is doing that?
Yeah, because I don't exactly know what the way to determine that is. I didn't look into the stats, but I saw that and I jumped on it because it made my point for me.
And I don't see it's 9:06 now, and Brooke said she agrees, and I don't know who was talking when she said that, so we're just going to assume she agrees with everything we just said about that first pick. So Brooke,
everyone agrees with everything we say, right?
I would hope so. I would hope so. But Brooke sent me a private message and said she's throwing $125 on the White Sox -1.5.
I like that.
All right, so take us to the next pick.
Okay, so Indians Orioles under 8. This is a John Means principal game. He's a West Virginia guy. I love him. Love watching the Orioles when he pitches. And he's been great this year. Hasn't allowed more than 4 runs in any of his starts. The Indians are 28th in batting average and 24th in runs. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Savelle, I forget his first name. I think it's Aaron or Andrew. He's going for the Indians. He's probably their second best pitcher behind Shane Bieber. He would be a lot of aces on other teams, but Shane Bieber is just one of the elite pitchers in all of baseball. So I don't think the Orioles are going to be able to score much on him either. So I'd see this game maybe getting to 6 or 7 runs, but I don't see it going over 8. And then my last baseball pick is Mets-Padres, no runs first inning. Jacob deGrom is on the mound. If you haven't been paying attention this year, he has a 0.71 ERA, and he has not allowed a first inning run all year long. The best pitcher in all of baseball. And then on the other side, you got Joe Musgrove. He's having a very impressive year. I liked him for the Pirates. I didn't like seeing him leave, but he's in his hometown, San Diego, and he has not allowed a run in his last 17 innings pitched. So I just need him to take it one more inning, get to 18 straight innings, and deGrom to just do his normal thing, and that'll get me another win.
I like those picks. And look, I said this at the beginning of the year. We talked a little bit of a baseball preview. We didn't dive deep into it, but one of the things I said, I'm an Orioles fan. For those of you that don't know, and most people don't because I don't talk about it. That's how bad the Orioles have been throughout the course of my life. But the one thing that I thought the Orioles, I took a future bet on them. Their over under for wins this year was 62,
Mhm.
and I took the over because I thought that their pitching was going to surprise some people.
Yep.
Their bats are going to be what their bats are. We don't have anyone that can really light it up from behind at the plate, but their pitching I thought was going to surprise people. And I would love to know the stat of if you bet the under in every Orioles game this year, how many of those would have hit as winners, because their pitching, I think, is doing just that. They're keeping games lower, and that's what they have to do to keep themselves in it. They're obviously not winning a lot of these games, so that future bet's not looking too great right now, but I love the Orioles matchup under, no
I,
matter who they're playing.
I'm gonna I'll do a little bit of research and have that stat for you next week because I know I have bet a lot of Orioles unders, and that's been a lot of where my I'm going back to the well to try to win some more money there. So I know it's been pretty profitable, but I'll get the stat on that for next week.
And we have a guest chime in. Brooke says she is not, and I think she's referring to
You
the
said
$125, and I have to apologize because I read the message wrong. It's actually $125 parlay with the White Sox -1.5 and the Indians Orioles under 8. So hopefully she hits big on that one. Brooke, we're pulling for you. Let's talk about the Nets money line. I know I put a lot of stuff out there, but I really do want to hear your opinion before we get to the Bruins -1.5.
So I was actually I cut out there for a second. I'm not sure what happened with my internet while you were talking about the Nets, but I have a little bit of a bold take for this series.
Okay.
I don't see it getting past 5 games.
Okay, and you think the Nets are going to win it?
I think the Nets right now, with the way the big three are playing, you add in Joe Harris playing well. I think they have too many guys that are on fire right now, and I think this is a series that we were all waiting to see, but I don't know if the Bucks really have the people that can match up. I know they were 2-1 against the Nets this year, but it was without the big three. There was either only one or two of them playing, and in each of those games, one of the big three that was playing went off. I know Durant had 42 in one matchup. Harden had 36 in another. So the Bucks aren't doing a good job at stopping these elite players. And then you throw all three into the mix at the same time, and the way they played in that first series, getting the sweep, I just see it being too much. I think these are all going to be close games, but at the end, you're going to be like, wow, Brooklyn won 4-1, and just move on. And the Bucks, this might be the year that the Bucks get blown up if they can't get it done again, because the NBA is so much now a game that you have to be spread out. And I don't know if the Greek Freak can be your best player because he just does not shoot the ball well enough. I think you have on the other side Kyrie, KD, James Harden, even Joe Harris. They all spread the floor. They're going to get open shots. And I don't think you can say that on the other side.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I don't know that Giannis is going to have enough. And look, Middleton's good. I think the worst thing Milwaukee ever did in recent history was trade Brogdon to the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a really big mistake, and they obviously they couldn't keep both Middleton and Brogdon, and they chose Middleton. And I get it. He's longer, he's lankier. He's 6'8", Brogdon 6'5", 6'6". I get it, but when you watch Brogdon with the Pacers and you watch the year he had, I feel like Brogdon would have been the better choice. And I'm not going to say that Middleton is the reason why they're going to lose this series. I'm going to say that Giannis doesn't have enough around him to compete with you just said it right there. I mean, just listen. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden. They're healthy. They're playing the best that they're capable of playing at the right time and together. And then, by the way, if you can find a way to shut them down, they're throwing out Joe Harris, who's leading the NBA at 57% from 3.
Yeah.
Good luck. And we saw it all year long with the Nets. The big three hardly played together, and that's a strategy. I mean, now you haven't seen them play together, but for a month, maybe total
Mm-hmm.
of actual competitive where they're all giving it their 100. How do you plan for that now in the most crucial time of the season where it's win or go home in a series set? Now you got to figure out how to play with all four of them. It was strategy from the beginning, and I know people are going to hate it, and there's different opinions on how it goes, but strategy, and at the end of the day, what's the goal? You want to win the
Win it.
championship.
Yeah, win a title.
That's it. And I think that we in the media sometimes give too much credit to ourselves that the players actually care what we say and think. Like, do you honestly think Kevin Durant cares that we say he chases rings? No, because he's got 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
When you look back, like 20 years from now, you're just gonna see how many titles Katie had. Like, you're not going to dig into each year and be like, wait, like, you know what? He was ring chasing a little bit. Like, no, he just has 3 rings.
yeah. And I mean, we all listen, ring chasing has been a thing since forever. The only difference is that back in the 80s and the 90s, you built around the star and the star stayed.
Yep.
Now the stars are going wherever they have to go. Whoever can have, and look, if Golden State didn't have the salary cap situation they had, they might not have got Kevin Durant. He could have ended up completely in a different city, in a different team, and could have won a championship somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to go where there was enough stars and enough salary cap, and that was the Golden State Warriors. Now he wanted to do it again. Clay's been hurt, and I don't honestly think that they got along. I don't think that team had a good chemistry, and I think Draymond Green is 100% the reason for it. But he goes over to Brooklyn, who had amazing salary cap, and I'm just going to end on this. Of the big 4 that we discussed for Brooklyn, Joe Harris was there before any of them, so they built around Joe Harris.
Yep.
Talk to me about the Bruins.
This is the one we're going up against each other on, and I have to say this is more of a. I was looking at the board, and I saw the value behind this pick, and I think that this game is such a toss-up that I think at plus 190 value, I couldn't pass up the Bruins minus 1.5. I think that you could see the Bruins. This could be a tight game the whole way through, and then an empty netter at the end gets this the win. But I think the Bruins are the better team. I think they're going to win the series. And I don't really understand why the Islanders went back to Varlamov. I think that the reason they won the series against the Penguins is because of why am I drawing a blank on his name? He played game 1 of this series. I'm pulling it up now. Ilya Sorokin. He sat on his head the entire Penguin series, and they lost game 1. They decided to go back to Varlamov, and Varlamov has a game sitting out there where he's going to let up some soft goals. He did it against the Penguins, where he let in 5 goals, and I believe 2 or 3 of those were very soft. So I think he's more vulnerable to giving up that really bad game, and the Bruins have just peppered him with shots. They have at least 40 shots in every game of this series. So I see that happening again. He might let a few squeak through, and the Bruins win by multiple goals. And I get almost a 2-1 value on that. I couldn't pass that up.
Yeah, I mean, all good points, but this is a first here on Brewed Bets. JT and I have a bet where we're going against each other, and neither one of us are going to sway. And it's not because we didn't do a good job. I think we both made really good points. We're coming at it from 2 different betting strategies here. All right. So JT thinks that the Bruins are the better team. I agree with him. I don't think the disparagement in talent is too far though. And if the Islanders are going to stay in this series, it's going to have to be here tonight on home ice and a bounce back game after the heartbreaker last time they were on the ice together. So JT's going with the sure thing because the Boston's going to win and might as well go ahead and start the closeout process now. I'm saying I think the Islanders have some fight left in them. And if this game was away, if this game was at Boston, JT and I would have the exact same bet. So keep in mind that we're disagreeing here today, and again, history. We're not swaying, so we will have to see who wins this bet and what happens there. I want to go back to the Nets real quick. I know you said that you see this game being closed out in 5. So we're going to go ahead and say that you're giving Milwaukee one win at home because they're going to get at least 2 games at home because it's 2-2, 1-1-1, right?
Yep.
That's how the NBA format sets up.
Yep.
So you're going to give them a win at home, making Brooklyn have to come back and close it out at home in game 5. I'm with you, but there's something in the back of my mind, and I can't really pinpoint it. I think the series could be a lot closer. And I think of all the teams in the Eastern Conference, if the Nets are going to get knocked off, it would be Milwaukee. So let's play devil's advocate and flip the script a little bit. Milwaukee wins the series. Why? What is Milwaukee? What if Milwaukee wins the series? What will they have done to Brooklyn?
So I think you would have to slow them down just enough, which that's the thing is I don't even know if it's possible. I think they're going to go out and get theirs. But I guess the one area that you could expose the Nets is they've given up a lot of points. So they're scoring a lot, but they're also giving up a lot. So if they don't have an answer to stop Giannis and he just goes off, Middleton gets his, and they're putting up 130 points a game, you could see a scenario where they're able to hold the Nets enough to keep them, and this is like a 138 to 136 game, like every game of the series. But I just don't see the Bucks putting up that amount of points consistently in 4 games. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that I'm taking the Nets as well. I think it'll actually go 6. I can see.
Let me. I just want to make it clear that me saying that it's going to last 5 games, that's a very bold take. Like I know that there won't be a lot of people on my side. That's just my Skip Bayless go out there on a limb and throw a haymaker. So
Well, listen. So a lot of the guys that I follow on that are on their own podcast journeys, I try to listen to as much small time podcast as possible. And a lot of the ones that talk NBA, after what the Nets just did to Miami. Now, look, I know it was Miami, and I know that they're not the same team from the bubble. They're all too busy making music videos, but with what they did and how they came out first series, everyone together, all healthy. Joe Harris been there all year. What they did and how efficiently they did it. 5 games is actually more common than you would think. Taking the 5, so that's not an outlandish. I say 6 because I think it's possible that the Nets could mess around and drop this game tonight. I do think it's possible. If there was ever going to be a game where you could catch the Nets off guard, it would be this one at home off of a sweep. And they're obviously the better team. They know they've got the offensive output to put anyone away. And I think they could slip her up, get lazy, and end up losing this game. And if they do lose this game, it's going to change the complexion of the series.
Mm-hmm.
If they go out there tonight and this is a 10, 15-point victory and they're in control the whole time, you said it yourself. What's the game plan against the Nets? Slow their offense down. Yeah, well, good luck. I mean, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. And if you should so happen to have enough players to lock those 3 down, which, let's be honest, you're not locking down any of those 3 players. They're going to get theirs. But let's say you've got them in an off night. Now you got to guard Joe Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And he is, listen, when I coach, I show Joe Harris highlights all the time from back at UVA, his first season at Washington. I show his highlight tape from his high school. You want to talk about a pure shooter who knows how to move without the ball. He runs as much as a professional soccer player. Him and Kyle Guy both. And I know there could be plenty of people. Keep in mind, as a UVA fan, I watch a lot of UVA basketball, so they're just the 2 that stick in my mind. He will get open looks.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to work hard to get open looks. So it's easy to say if Milwaukee can slow down Brooklyn, they can score with them. Well, good luck doing that. So yeah, I like them. I like this series to go 6. Again, just because I think they could mess around and get this game tonight. But if they don't get this game tonight and Brooklyn comes out and takes game 1, I do like a 5-game series. But I think it's going to be exciting nonetheless. I don't really see too many blowouts in this series. I just feel
Yeah,
it's going to be. You'll look at the final score and you'll watch every single one of these games and you'll walk away and say the Nets or the Bucks just didn't have enough.
it's like one of those. What series was that in baseball? Oh, the World Series with the Mets Royals.
Mm.
Like it was a 5-game. Royals won 4-1, but the Mets led in every single game. I think the Royals only were winning for like 20% of the series and won 4-1. Like every game was close. Like that's what I have in my mind. Like each of these games is going to be within 5 points. But I just think the Nets pull each one out because down the stretch of games they're going to be able to score a little bit better than the Bucks.
And that was the year with where they had they still of course they had DeGrom, they also had Noah Syndergaard and all of that. And I think you make a good point, and it brings me to switching it over to basketball. The reason the Royals won that year was because ironically they had a deeper bullpen.
Yep.
The Mets were in it, and the Mets were leading because they had the aces, and then when they got to their bullpen, it just wasn't enough. And the offense, that Royals offense, doesn't get enough credit. That was a fun team to watch hit baseballs.
Mm-hmm.
And they could do everything. They could play the small ball, move base runners. They could also put up 6 home runs in a game. It was really fun to watch. And we transition that into basketball. What you're really saying is they have enough in the 5 people they're going to put out there, but the five starters for the Bucks can't play every minute of every game in this series.
Yep.
So when you put the benches against each other, you've got to give the nod to the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and to be honest with you, that's the scary thing about the setup the Nets have is there's always going to be a star on the court. There is always going to be someone that can go one-on-one and create 10, 15 points at any time they want to. Most of the time it's Kyrie. And I feel like that's when they do a lot of their damage. When Harden goes out, Durant goes out, and it's Irving and Harris on the court, Kyrie has the entire defense on skates every time he handles the ball. You don't know if he's going to drive and finish crazily. And I mean, he's a great finisher around the rim. He has to be. He's only 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know if he's going to do that, if he's going to take you to the hole and pull up for a jump shot, if he's going to go around the ball screen and take a 3, or if he's going to drive and kick. Or if he's going to drive and fake the kick and throw up a float, you just don't know. And I feel like that's when they do a lot of their damage. When Kyrie has to be ball dominant, I think that's when the Nets pull away a lot.
Yeah, and that's probably the most fun basketball that they have. I mean, I like watching KD and Harden, but Kyrie is the most electric, fun player to watch on the court. So that's the time where they're going to take over and he can do his thing, because I mean he's gonna defer to the other 2 when they're on the court, but he's still one of the top players in this league, and he can show out, especially going up against the bench there when the other 2 are out.
That's it. And yeah, we could talk about this all night, but this is Brewed Bets, where the coffee is strong, the bets are stronger, and we just laid out our bets for this weekend for you. So we'll go ahead and recap them again. I'm going with 4 good bets. Bruins Islanders over 5 goals, the Islanders money line with the Bruins, the Lightning's money line with the Hurricanes, and the Yankees money line against the Red Sox. My 2 locks take it to the bank. Brooklyn's money line versus Milwaukee, and the Dodgers money line against Atlanta. Good luck, Atlanta, bouncing back on offense against Clayton Kershaw. JT is going the Chicago White Sox -1.5, the Indians and Orioles under 8, the Mets and Padres first inning to be under a half a run. Again, DeGrom does not give up runs in the first inning. Nets -4, Bruins -1.5, and I'm going to throw up a comment, because what happens when you take Brewed Bets picks? You get a party when you win. That's exactly right. We appreciate you, Miss Lee, sitting in there and interacting with us today. 2 cream, 1 sugar. Pat wanted us to know, I'm watching but cleaning at the same time. His son's got a doubleheader today starting at 12:30. So fatherly duties, husbandly duties, house duties. We get it. We miss you, 2 cream, 1 sugar. Welcome back anytime. JT, take us out.
Just always remember that this is a gambling show. If you're out there betting in any of the states where it's legal to bet, always bet responsibly. And we'll be back next week, hopefully, to talk about our big week with a lot of winners.
That's it. For JT of Sports Shift Media, I'm Brandon Johnson of Sports with BJ. Have a great weekend.